friends. Hi, Marcelo. Hi, Karla.
How are you?
Good. So we've been having amazing conversation today, and I want to jump right into how you met your first mentor, because as we've been chatting here today, you seem to be extremely magnetic and attract people who have a lot of spiritual wisdom that they want to make sure is passed on to the next generation. And you seem to be chosen over and over again, these spiritual masters, to be a part of the lineage of spiritual practices that need to stay with us, especially during these next 300 years, which is a big transition period for the Aquarian age. So can you tell us about how you met your first mentor? Where were you? How old you were? What was their profession? Let's go from there.
So that's such an incredible question. Thank you for having me. I feel so blessed and fortunate to be here with you today on High Vibration.
Thank you.
My first mentor is my mother, and she told me that we choose our parents when we come into this life. And I questioned her all the way until I had a miraculous moment in my life that brought me to a crossroad to either believe or not to believe. And it was that lineage that is instilled within each and every one of us before birth. When I was born, both of my parents were renunciates. My mother renunciated Catholicism, and my father renunciated Judaism, and came from a very long line of Jewish people. So that was like a major sin on his part.
Interesting.
And when they met, they were in a Buddhist temple. And my father heard this angelic voice in the back of his ear and turned around and met my mother. So when I was born through Buddhist ceremony of chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo. And that chant is prayer for world peace.
Yeah.
And that's a very strong mission and purpose in life, to pray for world peace. So throughout my entire life, my father was the most devoted religious man I'd ever met. In the morning, before I'd ever wake, I would hear him chanting Nam Myoho Renge Kyo, Nam Myoho.
Beautiful way to wake up every morning with that vibration in the house. Right?
Yes, I'm going to start that.
That is lulling you to step into your day.
Yeah. And it's really quite the awakening, because throughout every chant and the beginning and the end, we give gratitude and thanks to our ancestral lineage. So we bring in the past, present, and future to overcome. And my mother, she was really the driving force behind our family to move from where I was originally born in Argentina. Both my parents had a very strong connection to spirit. And my mother is a very powerful psychic, but an unadvertised one. She uses her own psychic abilities to determine her well-being and the well-being of her family, of us. And I have a younger brother who, he's gotten everything I've had, but 2 years younger. So it just creates this beautiful dynamic between us. And my mother was really my first mentor. She instilled in me the most beautiful fortunes and has shown me the way. There too, he was my greatest teacher. And he taught me how to be a man, how to be a gentleman, and how to make money, and how to value the dollar, and how to compare the dollar against a dollar, or the value of other things that are worth the same, but what's the quality between A and B, or A and Z, and just compare everything from A to Z.
Which is so important in the worlds where we all play, is the value of health, the value of food, the value of supplements, the value of what we put on our skin.
Yes. And
we see the value. And that's, I think, the challenge we have in doing the work in the world that we're in, is not other people don't see it quite like that yet, right?
Yes. And it's such a beautiful thing, because we all need to recognize that our first and greatest mentors are our mother and our father. So if you have any disconnection there, I highly suggest you nurture and water that relationship to where you find a peaceful place, a level of acceptance, and you come to terms with your relationships with your mother and father. And thanks to my mother, she had introduced me to many masters. And she would always tell me about this book called Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yeah, one of my favorites. Literally.
A fantastic one.
And I had the pleasure of getting to meet him in person and take a course from him. And it was what Annie, who introduced us, gave me tickets to go and meet him in Las Vegas for a Hay House conference. And I got to do multiple past life regressions with him. It was unbelievable. But it was just one of those where Annie was just like, I got these tickets. I can't go. Do you want them? Changed my life.
Love it.
Yeah. Yeah.
We love you, Annie.
Yeah, we love you, Annie. Great connector. And for everyone listening, please read Many Lives, Many Masters.
Yes, a
You know, at one point in time, we all have to tap into our past lives for a little bit of healing. We're not supposed to live in the past, but sometimes we have to dip our toe back there in order to move forward.
And also to understand what some of the things that we do in our life has to do with our past life. And we don't understand it, and we'll never be able to move on if we don't really come to terms with that.
Yeah, and I feel like for people that are still struggling to accept their relationship with their parents, that is a tool that can really help them.
That's one of our biggest obstacles in life. And even growing up as a child, as an adolescent, as a teenager, as an adult, I didn't have the easiest relationship with my parents. I sit here today and speak very highly of both mother and father. And I've had just as many turbulent times as anybody.
Me too. And I love and adore my parents, and I have the greatest relationship with them. And from a young age, my mom taught me that I chose her. And so she would use that as a joke. Like anytime I was super frustrated with her, she's like, but you chose me. So like, how do we make light of this? And so in the worst situations with her, I would still chuckle because there's something, if they can irritate you, then there's something there to be learned.
Certainly. And it was thanks to her that I met many masters. And one of my first masters was that yoga teacher, Udmani. And I learned yoga from her from the time I was 13. I became an initiate. And I was training 2 to 3 hours a day in a hot yoga room. And that was transforming for me. That helped me develop my masculine side and my feminine side.
Which is amazing.
So I became very balanced at a young age. And when I was 15, I became a sannyasin, a fully trained and certified yoga teacher. And then I was on the path of learning enlightenment through meditation with the Osho practices, the dynamic meditation, Nada Brahma. It's the humming and the buzzing vibration.
I think we're going to see a big uptake in the next few years of people being told to hum to heal their nervous system. So it was interesting when we'll just say it. So I dated someone this past year. They decided to break up with me, and I was very sad. I was not ready for the experience to end. I wasn't complete, and I was really heartbroken. And I went to Dr. Joseph Michael Levry for some guidance, for meditations, for a Kundalini yoga practice that could help heal my heart and allow me to emotionally disconnect. And the first thing he wanted me to start doing every morning was hum. And then I did it for a little bit. I stopped. I went and sought guidance from Dr. Scott Robinson. What did he tell me to do? You need a hum, because humming will heal your nervous system, which will then heal your physical, emotional, spiritual, and mental body. And it's so simple.
So true. That's why people like the sound of cats when they purr.
Really?
Yeah, it's very therapeutic. It's that hum.
Oh, you know what? And I was sitting in, I can't remember if it was a podcast episode I listened to or a Zoom call I was on, but they were talking about how they want to start, everyone just needs a cat and have the cat lay on their chest and let the cat purr, and how that helps heal the nervous system.
Yeah.
It's all vibration.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was an incredible experience once I started practicing Nada Brahma. I was 17 when I went to India, and I stayed in the Osho ashram.
So cool.
Oh
and I had this experience with my mom, thanks to her.
Yeah.
She gifted me the incredible fortune of becoming a yoga teacher, introducing me to her yoga master. I became a sannyasin. Thanks to her, she funded the entire program. I was then gifted by her a yoga retreat, rewind to when I was 13. That was my birthday gift. She said, you're coming with me to the Bahamas to swim with the wild dolphins, and we're doing a yoga retreat. I said,
you chose.
We want to be friends with your mom. We need your mom on the podcast.
Great. She'll be on the next one. And I'd love to introduce you to her because she's such a beautiful soul.
Yeah.
And she needs friends like you guys.
Yeah.
So many gifts came from her, and not just in the form of things, but experiences. Wow. Those experiences that I had, life-changing, life-altering, literally. When I came back from India, let's talk about when I was in India.
I have to ask, what did they feed you at the ashram?
It was all vegetarian.
Yes. Was it Kinnaree?
Yeah, of course. They had a whole buffet of
Yeah, okay, got it. So you had more than one option. You just weren't given a bowl of Kinnaree and that's it for the day. You had...
No, it wasn't like one of those ashrams where you go and you have to be silent. It's a very explorative, expressive. The only strict thing is that you have to wear a red robe.
Okay, and why red?
That's just during the day. That's their dress code.
Okay.
And then at night, during the night meditation, you wear a white robe.
Okay.
So that's the only strict thing. And then over 100 different kinds of meditations at the Osho ashram, which is still going today in Pune. And they have beautiful kitchens. They have a lunchtime that runs for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Everything from papayas, and they even have eggs, so it's not vegan, but it is very flavorful and expressive, and just beautiful. And every night you dance. There's a dance, and there's a musical concert, and you celebrate life.
Interesting, because it actually, you know, I find that people will talk about ashrams in India, but you really don't know what's going on there. And we can only take away what we see from social media, Instagram posts, movies, and their depiction of these ashrams. But what you're describing to me is very similar to the way Esalen Institute is set up in Big Sur in Northern California. And I went there for a restorative yoga retreat just a few weeks ago, and they had dancing every night. So despite whatever courses you were taking during the day, you get to spend the evening moving your body and being in ecstasy and joy in a natural way.
Yeah, and that's the bliss that they experience. It describes as ecstasy, just like you said it.
Yeah.
And there was one meditation that stuck with me so profoundly, and it was the only silent sitting meditation there, because every other 99 out of 100 meditations, they're very expressive, they're cathartic, you're jumping, doing all kinds of wild breath work.
Yeah.
And it's random. Like, you'd never expect these kinds of things to be meditation. We all would expect and think as a Western mind that meditation is sitting silent. Okay, so let me tell you. When I sat silent in that room, it was in the master's room where Osho would sleep. It was all white marble floors. And throughout the glass mirrors, you could see a beautiful Zen garden, and very well maintained, like a 5-star resort level garden. But it was his private garden.
Yeah.
And his entire hallways were lined like a library with books. And on his courtyards, he had Rolls Royces.
Yes.
So this man was magnificent, and he had very high-level sannyasins, his disciples, that would gift him all of these regal fortunes.
What I like about Osho, which a lot of people miss, is people think that in order to be spiritual, you have to be poor. Or in order to be spiritual, you have to sacrifice. And what I like about him is I am spiritual, so I'm going to surround myself with beauty, because beauty brings me joy and raises my vibration and makes me happy. And I want other people to experience beauty and joy while they are on their spiritual experience. So his choice of how he lived, how he decorated his places, the cars that he drove in, he knew he had all these lives. And this was his last time here on this planet. So he was going to go out with a bang. And he was going to enjoy it in all the ways that he found to be blissful and beautiful. And then he was going to share that with his community. So I think a lot of people have it wrong when it comes to spirituality and sacrifice.
Well, we were programmed that way through the Catholic Church, through the powers that were in control at the time.
Yeah. So I love hearing this, and I love hearing that it really is beautiful.
It was beyond beautiful, but there was more to it than just the physical beauty that was represented there. There was a deep, powerful psychic ability that was instilled with all of his disciples, and that is still present even though his physical form has passed.
Okay, so this is
So this is what happened. So after all the Nada Brahma meditations, dynamic meditation, I said, okay, I'm going to go sit silently for 30 minutes in his room. And his younger brother had invited me. He said, I want you to come and sit with me. And I had met him in the garden and the cafe, and we would share a smoke. And he said, all right, now it's your turn to come.
When you say share a smoke, what do you say?
We were smoking a beedi, which is like a neem leaf with a little bit of tobacco.
Oh, fascinating.
Yeah.
Okay.
So this was a classical Indian beedi.
Okay.
And they're a hand rolled, and it has like a twist tie, like a little string, like a red string tied at the tip.
What do you get out of smoking it?
Like
feeling or sensation? I
love the combustion of the smoke, the illusion of the movement, the scent, the act of inhaling, exhaling. It's a whole ritual for me. I would watch my grandfather smoke Marlboro Reds when I was a kid, and we would play cards, and I'd say, Grandpa, blow those smoke rings like Pinocchio.
Yeah.
And he like, okay.
He could do that?
And he would do it, yeah.
I like the taste of tobacco.
Yeah.
Like real tobacco.
Okay.
So this is more sacred tobacco.
Yes, definitely.
There's a difference.
Yeah, totally.
A big difference. So back to the silent sitting meditation was the only silent meditation was in his room, this beautiful Osho room. And it was vast. So there was about 30 of his disciples there, and we were all wearing white robes. That was the only time during the day that you wear the white robe. So I sat in there and I sat on one of those backrest, floor sit chairs. And I was just like, okay, I'm ready to experience whatever there is to experience. And I took a deep breath and I hear the chimes just go off. And I was like, okay, this is nice. And then my consciousness drifted so deep into an astral realm where I had left my body just immediately. It was so instant. It was hard to comprehend. And in that moment, I started walking in my consciousness. And there appeared Osho with me in consciousness in this auric white room, this white light. And I could feel his physical form next to me. And we would just walk and talk.
That is amazing that he programmed that for that room.
Yeah.
So he probably can do that with everyone who visits, whose soul is open to it.
Yeah. His spiritual power and psychic abilities are so profound that I had that experience with him.
Yeah.
And he would continue to come to me in my dreams after.
Wherever you were in the world.
Yeah, anywhere in the world.
So you get activated by being in that room, and now you have him as a trusted advisor for life.
Yeah.
That it as another spirit guide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Another master too.
By the way, this is very cool.
Yeah.
I love this stuff. This is my jam. And for people that are listening, there's something key that I want people to recognize is you said they chimed. Yes. And so whenever you work with a real spiritual master or a shaman, when they start the session, they do chimes to let your guides, angels, guardians, spiritual masters, anyone that needs to come into the room to support the experience that they're going to have, that's their cue that it's time to enter. And then it'll ultimately be their cue that it's time to leave. Yeah. So that's really neat that they're doing that.
And that's exactly what happened. And during those 30 minutes, I had experienced 10 years of my life, walking and talking, exploring, and having the osmosis of knowledge come in through me. In his psychic abilities, not only with him there, but I felt the spiritual presence of all his disciples, which are in the thousands, and his brothers and his closest advisors were all there physically in that room with me, and much more so in the spirit realm. So when the chimes clicked to finish, I had reawoken, like I had taken my first breath of life.
Yeah.
And I recognized, oh my gosh, I'm back here in my 17-year-old body with this 10 years of new knowledge.
What a blessing.
And just thinking, what now? What do I do? And it was so easy. So I came back to Earth, and I came back to the US, and I came back to my high school.
Yeah.
And I told my dad.
It's been so challenging going back to high school.
I told my mom I'm staying. Like, you can go and I'll be good here.
Yeah.
And she said, no, you're not.
Yeah.
But she said, you have a lot of work to do, so you can come back whenever you're ready. But we were going back. So I came back to Miami, Fort Lauderdale, and I told my dad, Dad, I'm dropping out of high school.
Yeah.
And I'm going to become a yoga teacher.
Yeah.
And he looked at me and laughed and said, that's funny. You have a lavish lifestyle. You like nice things. How are you going to make money? And I laughed back. I said, I'll just be the richest yoga teacher you ever met. Because I had this spiritual knowledge now.
Yeah.
And it was hard to express that or to demonstrate it. Even more so.
But you knew inside you that that's what you could create, and then you set the intention by verbalizing it.
Yeah. For me, there was no obstruction between me and abundance. Yeah. It was already clear.
I completely understand. I've been there before. I think we've all been there before where you can do it, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. And then you suddenly start listening to everyone that's doubting you, and then you suddenly doubt it.
I love doubters, actually, because it's fuel to my fire.
How do we allow ourselves to see that or feel that? When I think we've all experienced where we really believe in something that we're going to start, something we're going to do, or a vision that we have for our life. And then we start hearing all these doubters, and you're fine at first, but there comes to be a tipping point where then it finally seeps in. How can any of us start to take those doubters and allow it to be fuel to the fire to allow us to succeed?
It all starts with your vision, and that's a very powerful psychic ability. Once you can visualize, have the vision of what your dreams, your goals, you want your life to be, you visualize it.
Okay.
You create your mind castle. You create that castle in reality. You live in that reality. You vibrate at that frequency.
And so do we all just start to remove ourselves from spending time with people that are doubting the reality that we're building?
If they don't come into vibration with your harmonic resonance, then they don't belong in your circle. Definitely, yes. But there is a point in my life that I've reached that I believe I'm unstoppable. So I know that whatever I visualize and I want, I will manifest for the highest good of all. And that is unstoppable. That's an unstoppable force. So I know what I'm going to create is for the better good of all, and it's for the highest intention of humanity. And if someone wants to get in my way, fantastic. I'm going to prove them wrong, and I'm going to move them out of my way.
Have you ever had points in your life where the page has been blank? You haven't been able to see the vision or the future. And has that ever happened to you?
Yeah, absolutely. That's happened. And that will be a time for you to step outside of your routine. Yes. And to start anew, start fresh. So when you become blank and you don't know, you're in the unknown. It's a beautiful space, because there is an Osho card that you can pull that's called the oneness.
Okay.
And that oneness card is blank. It's black. There's nothing. It's nothingness. But you are the part of
void.
The void, exactly. But that's the beauty of it, is that all those other tarot cards and the deck are the most colorful depictions of creative visuals and jesters and jokers and knights and princesses. But the oneness is nothingness. So when you're in that nothingness, just recognize that you are one with everything. And there is nothing that has to happen. Just enjoy that space.
I just get to play.
That's so true, because that's like where we came from, a dark womb, so to speak, right? Creation is actually created in that space.
Out of nothing.
Yeah.
Out of just energy.
And also,
not even intention. That's what's wild. Most people, right, are essentially created without intention.
Yeah, not forced intention.
Yeah. But anyway.
Well,
we're drifting.
What he was talking about, like moving mountains, is what Christ taught in the Bible. If you truly believe it, you can move that mountain.
Yes.
Period.
Yes.
That is the secret.
And the secret is not waning on that belief.
Yeah, exactly.
That's a really powerful point. When you hear or feel a doubt seeping in from someone else, that means that you need to refine your psychic abilities.
Yes.
Your own power to continue visualizing what you want and what you dream about. That's your goal. Your goal is to create and manifest.
I recognize now, when I started to believe the doubters, that's when I was allowing my energetic field to drop or to get weakened. And so I wasn't doing what I needed to do. I wasn't doing a daily practice to keep my shield strong. So I allowed other things in. And as soon as I have a super strong spiritual practice, which sometimes means just spending more time by myself, it's easier to hold the dreams, the concepts, the belief, and things move forward faster. It's kind of, it's the juxtaposition of how you think you're supposed to be spending your time in your life.
Yeah, when you let other people's thoughts seep into your mental clarity, then you'll be repeating their thoughts as your own. And then those thoughts will become words, and those words will become reality.
Their reality in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So do your affirmations. You're much more powerful than they are.
Yeah.
And also just surround yourself with people who support your vision.
Yes.
Like the ones that don't.
I know.
You're out.
I'm sure we can all agree here. Sometimes our visions are too far ahead of where people are. And so I think naturally, right, just us trying to play and dance between our spiritual lives and real life. You meet people sometimes that just want to make conversation. What are you doing? Tell me about the projects that you're working on, and they don't understand what you're creating and you're building because you're so far ahead vision wise. And
and that's okay.
And that's okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because you'll eventually attract the people, your helpers, your angels, just like Marcelo here.
Yes. So I'd love to learn more about how you met the mentor, or how you got the spiritual download, the idea to create your own products, right? Because you're dabbling in all these different places. You're doing yoga, you're traveling, you're trying to create your own businesses. You have this vision for this life that you're going to live beyond what your parents may think you're going to do as a 17-year-old high school student. How did you get to a place where you are now that you have your own, essentially a supplement and food product? That's like huge. That's like outstanding packaging, that sold multiple places. You have an affiliate program. Like, you have a fantastic business. So how did you create that? How did you choose the name? And where did the first seed drop to create that?
So the whole creation behind VORG, which I had trademarked in like 2012, it's vegan, organic, raw, gluten-free. The way I came up with that name was through meditation. I sat in and I did my mandala meditation where I would just visualize myself on the sun. And I would feel the radiation, the warmth, the power, and the frequency of the sun. And that's where I'll do most of my powerful meditations. And I would visualize the Sri Yantra and the Merkaba.
So you're visualizing the symbology,
Yes.
these sacred geometry symbols.
And those visions would come to me in an ultraviolet light.
So if somebody is listening to this and they want to start doing meditations like this, so you're finding a place to sit comfortably and be quiet and clear your mind. You're imagining yourself on the sun, but you're also physically working on feeling the heat off the sun. And then once you get settled there, then you focus on visualizing sacred geometry.
Yes, and then I begin to describe on the earthly plane what is it that I'm seeing. I'm trying to translate into words and lines the physical depictions of things that we see, because that's a whole transcendence of what do you see? How do you describe? How do you depict? You have to transcend. So the creation of this product line was through a need, not only the desire and passion to want to help others, because that's one of our highest missions.
Yeah.
As a Buddhist, we come in this life with the 10 levels of life. You have the closest to the highest of enlightenment, which is the Bodhisattva, one who's trying to bring others to enlightenment, showing you, here's the light over here, but you need to drink the water. You have to reach enlightenment on your own. I can only show you the way, but you have to walk towards the light. And that is the biggest mission that I had in creating the food line, is that I can show you the way, but you have to take it and make it your own. And that was how the business started. Is my workout buddy. He was stronger and bigger and better looking than me. And I love going to work out with bigger and stronger guys.
Yeah.
What does that do for me?
Yeah.
It makes me stronger. And I love taking on, younger men than me and helping them lift heavier and do yoga. Yeah, I've been a yoga teacher for 20 years now. And I've had huge classes of varsity teams, soccer, volleyball, football. And I've had those 300 people standing on their head at the same time.
Amazing.
And that all stems from a vision and a dream that I had, that I was teaching people to do yoga psychically without my words, as I would stand on a balcony and I would describe the pose to them through psychic ability. So that it all came from vision. So when my friend asked me, how did you get so healthy? Because I might be bigger and stronger than you, but you're way healthier. I can see it in your skin.
Interesting.
So how do I become healthy like you?
Yeah.
And I said, you need to come to my kitchen. So he stepped into my kitchen.
Man, not everybody says that.
So he steps in my kitchen and I open my cabinets.
Yeah.
And he looks very confused because there's like 30 bottles.
Yeah.
And there's nothing he's ever heard of. A spirulina, chlorella, wheatgrass, all of the greens, the moringa. And I had cacao, shilajit, maca macuna. He's like, dude, I can't even pronounce half this stuff. And I was like, just listen, hear me out. I'm going to take a scoop of this, 2 grams of that. I'm going to put it in the blender with some fresh fruits. And I blend it up. He's like, it tastes great, but how do I get this? I'm like, no problem. Go to this website. You purchase, $500-$600 of ingredients and take it home. Just follow my recipe. It's that easy.
You and I were living the same way at the same time, and people weren't getting it.
Yeah.
I remember because I would take that stuff to culinary school, and I was at the #1 health supported culinary school in the United States. It was it. And I would bring these powders that I was buying at the only Erewhon that existed in LA that was truly just a little hippie health food store, and nobody knew what it was. They were like, why do you have ashwagandha? What is ashwagandha? And I would ask the chefs if we could get a lecture to talk about, to dive more into these medicinal supplements. And they're like, we don't have any starter course to offer on this. But we were learning Ayurveda cooking, but we couldn't dive into maca and ashwagandha and moringa and all these other things.
So it was just super confusing to him. And I knew that he wanted it. But he wasn't willing to go that length and invest $500-$600.
Yeah.
It was just beyond him. So I asked, how can I help him? Because that was also one of my father's missions in life, is to help people, So he would always bring people into his home, teach them how to pray, how to chant, house them, feed them, and give them hope. So it's instilled in me. It's part of my bloodline. I have to help this guy. And I thought, and I slept on it, and I woke up, and I was like, I'm I'm going to do something to help this guy. And the next day came by, and the next day went by. I was like, I don't know how I'm going to help this guy, but I'm going to help him somehow.
Yeah.
And one day it hit me, and it came to life because I was invited to a yoga festival. I was teaching at that yoga festival, and I needed to help myself by bringing all of my superfoods, by staying high vibration, and by taking and consuming those superfoods on the daily. That was my ritual. That's my no compromise. I got to have my superfoods.
Yeah.
So I opened an empty mason jar, and I took my 25 bottles, and I said, okay, here's 7 servings of moringa. Here's 7 servings of ashwagandha. Here's 7 servings of cacao. Everything in 7. So all sacred numbers, all angelic numbers.
Interesting.
I knew you guys would love each other, just to let you know.
That is fascinating. That is really fascinating. And for anyone listening, like if you look, because I'm in the spice industry and spice blends, but if you look at any recipe, right, they're not. It's
not random.
It is random, but it's probably not.
Yeah, it's too highly coincidental.
7.
So that was just that number at that time. Every number is sacred. It just depends how you alchemize that.
I completely agree. Every number has a purpose.
Yes. And that's the beauty behind numerology.
Oh,
I
love it.
Made my first super shake bottle. That was it. That one yoga festival was the spark that created the whole creation of the super shake for other people. Because I was making my super shake at home.
Yeah.
It was just a superfood cabinet. Yeah. And I coined the term super shake from David Wolf. That was like, oh, you're just going to make a superfood smoothie. It's a super shake. And I loved listening to him and following him around. And I was making my own super shakes. So I did it. I took a picture of that bottle and I sent it to him. And he said, what the heck is this, sand art? And I said, yeah, it is kind of sand art.
I love it when it looks like sand art. I still take photos sometimes when I'm making my spice blends.
Yeah.
And I put it all in and it looks like sand art from a moment. It brings me joy.
I've seen a picture of it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah.
So that's how it was created. That's how I created the first iteration of the Super Shake. And it was 2 years later before I came up with the term for the business, which was our trademark, VORG, vegan, organic, raw, and gluten-free. And I played around, moving those words around, trying to make like different acronyms. And that's the one that stuck. It kind of sounded like an alien. It kind of sounded like a Star Trek name. It just had a weird thing, but it stuck. And you just knew at that moment, like, this is it. I hit up the trademark office and I said, I'm filing a trademark and this is the business. So I became incorporated and I breathed life into the business. And that was the key, is that my breath was the life that I gave the business. And it had a life of its own. So I birthed it. And it's followed me ever since. Because I let the business go several times. And when I moved across country, I chose a different path. I wanted to be a yoga teacher. And I wanted to be in the cannabis world and a cannabis cultivator. And just do high-level things on different than the food path. Because being a certified in a clean kitchen and all the food practices, that's difficult. It's very...
They make it very hard to get the people clean food.
Yeah.
I want you all to know that are listening, our local, state, and federal government makes it really hard for entrepreneurs to get to high quality, clean, organic food.
The bar is set insanely high. It's complicated. There's rules.
It's so complicated and so expensive just to get started.
And there's all kinds of violations that they can shut you down with.
And they can make them up.
Yeah. So I started making the super shakes under the cottage law in my dad's kitchen.
Oh, you're so lucky. Were you in Miami?
Yes.
Okay. So, because in California, you can't do the cottage law unless you have literally a separate kitchen within your home. So you have to have 2 kitchens within your home. One that you can prove is your kitchen, and the one that you can prove is your cottage kitchen for the business.
Yeah. So in Miami, that's kind of how it was. If you stay under $10,000, you can work under the cottage law and produce your product in your kitchen. So I kind of started the business that way. And once I graduated college, I started going to farmers markets, giving people samples of my superfoods. And I would just ask them, hey, do you want to have the best day ever? And they'd just look at me and like, yeah, of course I do. And then I go, okay, great. Have a sample.
Yeah.
And then they drink, oh, yeah, this tastes pretty good.
Yeah.
And then, boom, there comes my 60-second Shark Tank elevator pitch.
Yeah.
And, I just started. I was full gung-ho and passionate and 21 years old, wanting to, save the world and help everyone get healthy. And that was the Super Shake. And then that's how I created the business.
Yeah.
I wanted to get people to just subscribe and create 1,000 subscriptions. And then I realized like, this is way harder than I thought. And I moved across the country and I left that business behind. And friends would call me, hey, can I get a super shake? No, I'm not doing that anymore. You know, but you should keep doing it. Maybe next life. And it wasn't until the year was 2020 that one of my best friends and current business partners called me and said, hey, we have a super successful CBD company and we're doing pain relief cream.
Mm-hmm.
We want to enter into the supplement business and we want you to be the founder.
Wow.
We want to reintegrate VORG. We want to utilize your trademarks. We want to use your formulas, and we're going to do 100% of everything else. We're going to package, manufacture.
The dream true.
Yeah, it was like an ideal, perfect organization that they just came in under their wings and they would, nurture the business to like start it.
Yeah.
That was the vision, but the reality was different.
I was like, score for you. Because I know, because I've been doing this for 10 years. So like, I know the ups and downs. So when you were selling me that, I was like, you made it. Like, you made it. I'm so happy.
Right.
And then for me, it's like, and then everyone else gets to benefit. Everyone else gets to feel good. Everyone else gets to have a great meal.
Yeah.
Like, it's a win-win.
It was a win. So I had 3 new products. We all invested $10,000. Bought 20 grand of product, 20 grand of packaging. The money was spent right away. We had a beautiful new label. And again, I went and sat down on the vision board. I created the new logo with the mandala of the Sri Yantra, the flower of life, and the sun. So it's a 3-in-1 mandala. And they loved it. Like, oh, this is great. And we all worked really well and synergistically together. And they were using the same marketing tactics for CBD to target the same audience, but it's not the same audience.
Yeah.
It's not the same target market. So we had spent all the money, and then we're 3.5 years into the manufacturing of the product, distribution, shipping out. We had all kinds of shipping issues. Bottles would break on the way there.
They were glass.
They were glass in the beginning, but then we made them plastic. They were still breaking as plastic bottles. The seals would break, the powders would go everywhere, people would complain. I love the packaging sucks. Oh, I love the product, but the shipping's whack. Or I was just like, okay, what can I do as my position?
Shipping issue. I was looking at my orders online last night. And I have so many people that go to order and then they stop when they get to shipping. Right. And I was thinking, like, how do I educate the customer that, like, the cost of shipping in the United States right now through the United States Postal Service is $8.
Oh, because you charge for shipping.
You have to.
Well, I have to.
Yes. No, I understand.
Like, so it's either I raise the price, so the shipping price is built in, or I am honest and I show you the shipping price and you pay it. But like, either way, it's $8 in America. So how do we as entrepreneurs like educate the consumer? Like, it costs $8 to ship flat rate in America. Like, no one's trying to screw you. Like, that's just what it costs. And so like, me as a consumer, I don't really pay attention to shipping because I want the product and I want to support whoever I'm buying from. But most people are now programmed to Amazon where shipping's free. So they will not purchase your product because you charge shipping.
Yes. You could get on Amazon and that's a whole nother beast. And
already looked there.
Yep.
That's a new disappointing game.
Yep. And I could help you and I can connect you with my distributors.
Oh, thank you.
That could help build out an Amazon platform because I'm taking on that beast and I'm backing down from it, but I'm going to go back at it when I'm ready again. So that's possible, but I haven't had many issues because I raised my prices. So I realized, oh, my product's too cheap. They don't trust the product or value my product enough. So I raised my prices and I still charge for shipping. Now, if you buy a product above $199 in value, you get free shipping. So you just have to hit a certain mark and then we give you the shipping for free. So there's multiple ways to overcome the shipping obstacle, but definitely my distribution team gets me the best deals on shipping. So sometimes it works out better and I'd love to help you out in that route.
Thank you. I would love to know, like, what's your number one goal? How do you want the consumer to feel who eats your product, who drinks your product, who consumes it? How do you want them to feel? What's the goal there?
Goal A is nourishment. Okay. Goal B is enlightenment. And goal C is loyalty. So I want them to feel like family with us.
Yeah.
And that they can receive and really feel nourished. Not only that, but enlightened, but trust that we are doing our best for them and that we would never compromise our moral compass or cut corners on product quality to them.
That's why I take the products.
Yeah.
I mean, like when I met Marcelo, honestly, I was attracted to the mandala that he had.
Yeah.
I saw that first over everything.
Yeah.
FYI. His whole vibe, he was just radiating health and wisdom. And I was like, I don't know, there's something about you and there's something about your products. So
I would love to know, as we wrap up, what are some of the practices in your daily routine that you do that help you stay healthy or, spiritually in line and balanced?
That's a great question. Like, there's just the basic human things that it takes time. I wake up in the morning and the first thing I like to do is I shower because it's just the water is cleansing for the soul and the spirit. I love water. I'm a very fiery Pitta dosha, so I need water just to be like, okay. And brush my teeth. That's like you gotta brush your teeth. Like if your breath doesn't smell right, you're doing something wrong. There could be a gut dysbiosis and your teeth, your tongue. Always look at your teeth and tongue. That's like really important to know your own oral hygiene. That's like a basic parameter for the standard of your health. And look at yourself in the mirror and smile for 30 seconds. If you can smile at yourself, you can make yourself happy. You can make anybody happy. But that's really an important thing. Like, take care of yourself. You are number one. Don't put anyone in front of you, even your kids or your spouse. Or maybe you want to find a new relationship. You are the relationship. If you can look in the mirror and smile for 30 seconds and love yourself, someone's going to love you. So that's where it all starts.
And do you have any evening rituals or practices that you always incorporate in your life?
Laughter, definitely. So laughter is it's so healing for me. I laugh about the silliest things. I'll make myself laugh. I'll come up with new jokes. I'll tell myself the same joke over. I'll find someone to call or tell a new joke to. And you just try to laugh. I mean, in Osho, I learned so much. And part of the Mystic Rose meditation, there's 7 days of silence, 7 days of crying, and 7 days of laughter.
And we're good.
And laughter, it is.
Yeah.
And it purifies your soul. So just laugh, laugh about your challenges, laugh about your difficulties, laugh about your successes, and just, look in the mirror again, smile and laugh some more.
Marcelo, is there one final tip that you can share with the audience that they can consider adding into their life, like a health tip, a spiritual tip, a daily routine?
Get in some water. If it's the ocean or the sea, it doesn't matter if it's hot or cold. There's something about releasing the electricity in your body that once you're grounded, your feet in the sand, body in the water, you're releasing so much on a lymphatic level. The salt water is super healing. Our body's mostly water. I'm sure you already know that. But we're not just water, we're salt. And if you don't have enough salt, you're not absorbing it through your skin or through the sun. It's all about the sun and the sea. Doesn't matter who you are. If you can connect with the sun, you can connect with the sea, you're going to be better.
So that's maybe why I had the psychic hit for us to all do dinner at the beach.
Yes.
Because we need to get in the water first before we eat. So that's what we'll do. We'll all gather at the beach for a nice little dinner and we'll do a little plunge in the water first.
Epic. It's on.
Yeah, we're ready. And then hopefully we can continue this conversation because this was
part 2 and a part 3 and then a part 4.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think we all need to gather back here again for a longer period of time and can continue the conversation.
It'd be my absolute pleasure.
Yeah, I think so too, right? Well, thank you, Marcelo. Thank you, Karla.
Thank you for having us.
This has been such a pleasure.
Truly.
We love you.
I love you guys too. Cheers. Water for everyone.
Here's mine.
We love you.
Love you guys.
Is this mountain spring water?
From the fjords of Iceland or Norway.
When he's like, I don't think it's mountain spring.
It was blessed in our opening. Everything was blessed in our opening today.
Epic.
That was great.
It was so great, but we definitely need,
You
going.
could go on for 3 hours.
Yeah.
easily.
And been stoked. And just cut into 3.
I'm still stoked.
So let's come back again. We'll just book 2 hours and
Great.
hang out and chat.
Can you do that?
Yeah.